work got in the way. And so I made a couple of decisions recently, and one decision was I no longer wanted to be president of PSNH. So I stepped down from the position of president of PSNH. I've done that for 13 years. I've been in the business for 37 years, and was ready to just to move on, even though I love the business and the work and the state and all that. But what stopped me from fully retiring is the fact that there's so much going on regionally in the state that is stuff that I just think is very, very important to our future. And that's what I focused on in the 13 years I've been president, is the future. And so I really don't want to leave those things hanging. So I've agreed to work on the things that are important to me personally. On behalf of the company, but on behalf of myself too, because I do feel strongly about New Hampshire and about positioning New Hampshire for its energy future. I've done a lot in my 13 years to do that. So that's why I'm here, because I want to be, and because it's stuff that I feel personally very, very, very important. I think our ultimate goal here, and what I'm going to be doing in the future is, I'm stepping down from president. I will be an officer, but I will not be an officer of Northeast Utilities, and my whole focus will be New Hampshire. So, New Hampshire is the only thing I'm really care to work on. And so you'll see me around, and you'll see me in different places, and I'll talk to you, and we'll be at press events and the other things, that we sometimes run into each other. I'll still do that. I will be accessible to you, really on policy and energy, implementation of policy, which is, to me, policy is only meaningful if you actually implement it. So that's the kind of stuff I'll do just for a background, to just let you know I'll be around, and be happy to work with you some more.
Did you say you were going to be an executive with Northeast Utilities or with PSNH?
Northeast Utilities.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And what that, and the reason, Anne-Marie, is because, people are so used to me. And like I said, 13 years of being president, we have very, very close internal working relationships, myself and people I work with. And I need to cut that. I need to separate from that. So I needed to, in order to get the new management to not be bothered by, my previous roles, I'd be a Northeast Utilities officer, but focus on New Hampshire. So I'll be the only Northeast Utilities officer that is 100% focused on New Hampshire. Okay. And that's because of my own desires, because of the company's desire. New Hampshire is where I live. New Hampshire is what I've been doing for my whole career. It's my passion, if you will. So it's a unique job. It's a job where I have the freedom to do what it takes, and most of my time will be spent on Northern Pass. That's a focus area, but it will also be energy policy in general. That I will also be, in particularly renewable energy policy, which is a passion of mine. So that's sort of where I'm heading. So in regard to Northern Pass,
Can I just ask you, are you guys recording this for streaming later? Are you streaming it? Is this video streaming?
It's video. It's not live now, but we'll probably put it up on the website at some point, or parts of it.
Just want to make sure we know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm trusting you to not get too personal, because some of the stuff I'm just telling you for your own background.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Because really here to talk about Northern Pass and energy policy, and to put it, also give you some examples of what we experienced last year to see how it all ties together. We're making tremendous progress on Northern Pass, and it was really the announcement that we did a couple of weeks ago that I know you folks followed. Was the beginning of really a tremendous amount of outreach, and getting to the point where we can make the formal filings with the state for siting approval, which is really what we know we can build it, but we need permission to do it, and we need to satisfy the concerns to do that. So what we're asking everyone is let the process work. We don't need a change in law. We don't think that you should change the rules in the middle of a game for any company who puts multi-million dollars into a development in New Hampshire. So the rules are solid. The state has full review, as does the federal government. So we simply want people to abide by the rules and the processes, And, you know, we will be well prepared to submit everything we need to submit as part of those processes and to be responsive. So that's really, I think, our bottom line goal is for people, you know, to trust the process and the government review. And we've done a tremendous amount of work in response to what we've heard. And you've heard a lot of that at the announcement route. We've made major modifications. We've incurred hundreds of millions of dollars of costs to try to address the concerns that are out there.
Are you saying trust the process? Is that message sort of in reaction to what's been going on in the legislature, which is some feeling that there should be moratoriums on new projects or change the review I mean, are you sort of reacting to
Yes.
what's been going on
Yes,
politically?
I'm reacting to
Yeah.
that, and you know, I'm a business person also, and even if you put Northern Pass aside for just a moment, you know, I've had many discussions with executives of businesses when we talk about, is New Hampshire a business-friendly state? And, you know, I don't say this too much publicly, even though you're recording me, but what I say is, we're not a business-friendly state. We think we are, but we're not. And New Hampshire is not growing. We're lagging the rest of New England coming out of this recovery. And I give people an example, because there's some people who just believe we're a business-friendly state. I said a business-friendly state does not change rules mid-course. A business-friendly state does not change rules after a company spends tens of millions of dollars under existing rules to meet the requirements of those rules, as an example. So when I say, you know, let the process, you know, you're right. If the legislature is changing the rules mid-course, and they have, and you know, the people are proposing others because they're against a project or they're philosophically opposed, that's not good policy. It has nothing to do with Northern Pass.
Yeah.
If you do it for energy, if you do it for something where people are, if you do it for a $1.4 billion project, what business is going to invest in New Hampshire if they spend millions of dollars only to encounter the rules are changed and their legs are cut out from under them because somebody did not abide by public policy processes? That's not why I came here today, but
No, it's
you
interesting
asked.
though. Yeah, and you know, there's no question that many of the legislators who want that sort of moratorium, they're reacting directly to you, but they're also sort of pulling in wind energy projects and others. I mean, is there no merit to their argument that New Hampshire should take a deep breath and figure out what it needs and what it wants, and you know, is the process rigorous enough?
No, the reason that's a mistake is because we already have national energy policy. New Hampshire has already set its policy. It just is not very good at implementing the policy that it sets. New Hampshire has already decided multiple times, just this last legislative session, they decided again to be part of a regional greenhouse gas initiative. They decided that it is a state goal to reduce carbon. And when the market prices went very low, they decided to boost the market prices by lowering the thresholds for RGGI. The state has already decided to have a renewable portfolio standard. Okay, the state has already said multiple times in years past that it wants a diverse fuel mix. So the state has already set its policy. The state has already set processes for a rigorous, extensive state review of any project. So the state has already done all those things, okay? And so when you get a Northern Pass or a wind project or anybody else that says, okay, we heard that this is what you want. You want green energy, you want reliability, you want fuel diversity, and then you go do it. And the state then says, oh, wait a minute, that was that policy, but I'm going to set another policy that goes against this other policy that I set. And then a business says, why should I do business in New Hampshire? And people say, why are people going to North Carolina? Why are they going to Atlanta, Georgia? Because their rules are stable and they don't have their legs cut out from under them. And again, we're way off subject here. I know Mark's going to try to get me back.
Well, I would say that-
but you asked.
No,
and so
yeah.
when people think about Northern Pass, I mean, that's why I'm here, and I think that is extremely beneficial to the state. But if it fails because people change the rules along the way, it's not just Northern Pass that fails. It's New Hampshire it fails as a business-friendly state.
But there's a difference between changing the rules in the game and you asked rhetorically about pausing to take a breath.
Yeah.
That goes more to people talking about developing a state energy strategy, which we support. What you're talking about though is something a little different. It's actually, before that's even done, changing the rules.
Now the state has said, and this is typical, you know, the state has said we need to have a state energy policy. I would say you already have one. I just listed the 4 or 5 elements of the state energy policy, which were highly debated, had gone to the legislature, had been reviewed several times. Almost every year they get reviewed. RPS gets reviewed almost every session. So the state has an energy policy. So I know that they want to take a step back and say, what is our energy policy? And I will say, you haven't focused on implementing the one you've already established. So yes, I think it's always great to try to get a vision of the future. I have been acting on the state energy policy for 13 years. I personally, but the company, has been pushing for and advocating and taking steps, voluntary, discretionary steps to have more renewable energy in the state. So when I see people say we want an energy policy, I said, well, you're not implementing the one you have. I mean, well, implementation is a problem in New Hampshire. It's one thing to have a policy, it's another thing to support implementation of that policy.
It seems like, although the debate on this topic is about energy policy, it seems like a lot of what's really at the root of it is NIMBYism, which I don't necessarily mean as a negative, but people don't want to live next door to something they don't find attractive, as if it were some
the state hasn't
local
come to,
zoning debate, and they're concerned that the local communities don't have the say that they want them to.
and that's all near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
I mean, we all live in New Hampshire. We know New Hampshire's community-based. We know it's grassroots-based. We know that, and we pride ourselves in that. But the state hasn't grasped with the idea of how can you implement policy and at the same time satisfy 100% of the people? Because you really can't implement policy and have everyone satisfied. And most states are able to grapple with that, but New Hampshire has a tougher time. New Hampshire, if everybody agreed, it'd be easy. But New Hampshire has a hard time when you don't have 100% of people agreeing, because we are such activists, because we are so focused on community, and we do pride ourselves and value local opinion. And it's all good, but you got multiple goods here, and you end up with doing nothing when you try